welcome. You're watching Speak for Yourself. Presented by the Popeyes Chicken Sandwich. Hello and welcome. I'm Marcellus Wiley, looking as good.
I was wondering why you were in such a good mood.
What, Popeyes?
No.
Racial? Come on, man. I'm looking good just because my Clippers are playing like I'm looking. You look amazing too, big dog. What you got on there? Is that lavender on this? I don't know my colors. I feel
I don't
pretty
either.
over.
I think I'm partially colorblind, so.
Okay, well, look, it's time to get it started with my Clippers. And playoff P, waka, showed up a big way last night. Paul George scored a career-high playoff 41 points, including 20 in the third quarter, to prevent the Clippers from being eliminated by the Suns. Man, I'm so hyped. PG has put the team on his back without Kawhi Leonard, but he is still in with some doubters like Acho.
Do you feel like, sometimes people pick on you a little bit more than, say, other stars?
I do. And it's the honest truth. It's a fact. But I can't worry about that. It's comes with the job, I guess. But, it is what it is. I don't know where this trolling come from, where the internet controls the narrative about these players. It's becoming foolish, man. Like I said earlier in the year, that's one of the most special players to ever lace his shoes up. Did his dude his flowers, man. I don't understand the slander. It's becoming quite silly now. Like, respect these players, man. Respect these greats.
I'm gonna hit you with the boogie. I don't know where this is coming from. So, Acho, since they talking about you, is PG unfairly criticized?
I love athletes, Sel. No,
What you mean?
to answer the question,
Talking
no, he's
about
not.
you.
I love athletes, and I love this topic. Every now and then, we start off the show with the topic we have to start with because it's the news of the day, so we have to start with it. But then there are days like today where the news of today also meets the best topic of today. Yes. And we get to start for y'all with this. Paul George is not unfairly criticized, and the praise of Paul George, which he rightfully deserves after last night's game, only reminds me that his criticism is rightfully deserved as well. Like, PG went 15 for 20 yesterday, 8 for 8 from the field, 3 for 6 from the three-point line. Elimination game, and this man balled. You better talk about it. You better talk about how he balled, because that's exactly what happened last night.
Okay, so far.
In the exact same breath, after game 4, when he goes 5 for 20 from the field, when he goes 1 for 9 from the three-point line, and when he goes 12 for 18 from the three-point line, we better talk about that as well.
Oh.
You can't turn a blind eye to his poorest performance, but then glean and shine your eyes when he balls. That's not how it works. And I hate when athletes, when we, even in the media, not just athletes, because I used to be that and now I'm in the media, I hate when we act like you have to ignore the bad but only praise the good. PG's poor performance was worse than his good performance was great.
Was it?
5 for 20.
Was it?
1 for 9 from 3. 12 for 18 from the free throw line is worse than 15 for 20, 3 for 6, and 8 for 8 is good.
Worse? Okay.
So,
you said it.
Let's properly assess the two. PG balled last night. I will never take anything away from that performance. He balled. But PG's play is schizophrenic.
Is it?
It is, Sal, because one day PG is shooting 25% from the field, and the next day he's shooting 75% from the field. If we look at it in totality, he's 20 for 40 the last 2 games. But that's one thing if you're 10 for 20, 10 for 20. It's a whole different thing if you're 5 for 20, 15 for 20. His play don't know what it's doing, so I don't know how to talk about it. Now, what I'm not going to do is say, oh, I didn't even see him go 5 for 20. But, man, he went 15 for 20. And what I'm not going to do is, yo, he went 5 for 20. I didn't see him go 15 for 20. I'm going to talk about both, because we get paid to talk every day, not just after the good days, not just after the bad days. PG balled last night, but the criticism is fair.
Oh, man, I disagree with you. I think he is unfairly criticized. I've noticed with you, we have different vantage points and respect for equity. And that is lending itself into this conversation because I think as a veteran, as a star, if you want to say borderline superstar, because Paul George's shoe sells out. Paul George has multiple endorsements. Paul George is living in the 0.001% of athletes in this world, in history. I think you don't have the objectivity to really talk about Paul George because you don't respect equity. You don't respect who Paul George was, who came into the league, known for his defensive prowess and working on his skills, a 6'8" guy, raw, who became a guy who has yo-yo handles at 6'8", Kobe-light skills, who became one of the top 5 players in conversation. And then that's why the whole world was sitting there in awe and in despair when he tore off his lower torso from his body and then recovered and became not only that player again, but even greater than that version, which was an amazing feat. And Paul George, through all this, has shown that he is mentally resilient, has shown that he has the resolve to not only climb the mountain, get knocked back down, and climb it up once again. It's the same Paul George who one time averaged 28 points in this league, and 8 rebounds. People don't respect Paul George like that because they don't give him his flowers and equity, what Boogie was saying. So here's the thing. The reason why I don't like your take fully is because you're trying to tell me when he does well, we're going to praise him.
Yes, sir.
And when he does bad, we're going to criticize him. That's not what you do to veterans like this, to stars like this, to superstars, if you want to go that far with Paul George. You know what we do?
What?
We give them a pass because we know more than not they're going to always show up. Think about it. No, it's not even a hot take. When you know your car starts all the time, you just got that new Lexus, right? So you ain't got this problem right now. I'll let you in 10 years. Right. But when old Betsy finally become old Betsy and you go out there and now it's a time to start talking about old Betsy because those bad performances are inserted with all of this goodness. Paul George has this many bad performances for you to talk about. And then you exaggerate the bad ones to make it seem like it doesn't counterbalance all the great ones. Here's my example. You said going 5 for 20 is worse than what he did last night.
Yes, sir.
Acho. Paul George is the first player in NBA history to have at least 40, 13, and 6 while shooting 75% from the field in a postseason game since 1968. So you trying to tell me that a 5 for 20 game that happens every other day is the same to counterbalance someone who did something that no one's done since 1968? The floor is yours.
I'm telling you, by the end of this show, we can find that Paul George is the only athlete to shoot 5 for 20, plus 1 for 9, plus 12 for 18, with a minimum of 15 free throws.
Since 1968.
Hey, we got it?
No, we ain't got it. That's why you ain't got it now.
Right now.
That's why you ain't got it now.
By the end of the show, I'm telling you right now, Paul George would be in a limited category. 100 on it? By the end of the show.
100 pennies. You know I'm broke.
Now, here's where I'm going to go.
What?
Success isn't owned. It's leased.
Oh.
And rent is due every day.
Yes.
You know the quote.
That's
I know
facts.
the quote.
Oh,
Y'all now know the quote.
I got
Success ain't owned. It's leased and rent's due every day. Paul George, I'm just waiting on the payments on a daily, big dog. Now, here's what we can't do. What? We can't excuse Paul George of what we excuse other superstars. If you said he's a superstar, treat him as such. Luka, we praised him quarters 1 through 3. But we know in the fourth quarter he disappeared. LeBron James, we praise him when he balls. When he shuts down, we criticize him. Russell Westbrook, when he wins MVPs, we praise him. But then we also talk about the fact that his style of play can't win games. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 2-time NBA MVP. We praise him for being clutch at times, but then we're going to debate here in about 15 to 20 minutes, is he even the best player on his team? We're really about to ask, is a 2-time MVP better than the guy that has ever won an MVP nor had an MVP vote? Because superstars get superstar criticism. So if Paul George is indeed a superstar, then please, let's give him the superstar criticism. But who is Paul George? Paul George reminds me of an old teammate of mine in college. Sell track with me, you'll enjoy this story.
Let's hear it.
Teammate of mine at the University of Texas, he stole another teammate's wallet. True story.
So we can't say his name?
We can't say his name.
Damn it.
He stole another teammate's wallet. So the teammate's wallet, who he stole, now walks into the locker room and is looking for his wallet. Hey, Acho, you help me? You see my wallet? Nah, big dog, I ain't seen it. Say, you see my wallet? Nah, I ain't seen it.
But he in college, so ain't nothing in it because he broke.
That's true.
Well, UT, y'all got paid. All right, sorry, too much.
The person who stole the wallet is like, hey, big dog, I help you look for it, man. Somebody got
I hate that dude.
Somebody got you for your wallet, my dog. I'm going to help you look for it. So the one who stole the wallet is now helping the person look for the wallet knowing he stole it. And guess who gets the praise?
What?
The one who stole it in the first place. Paul George stole a win from the Clippers, Game 2. Paul George stole a win from the Clippers, Game 4. So now that Paul George helps find a victory for the Clippers in Game 5, we gonna praise Paul George for finding a win when he stole one in Game 2? This the same Paul George that missed 2 free throws. Had he made those 2 free throws at the end of Game 2, the Clippers would have won the game and been up in the series 3-2 right now. This is the same Paul George, Game 4, that missed the first free throw, 6 seconds left, Game 4. If he makes that free throw and then misses the second free throw, which he intended on doing, all of a sudden, the Clippers are tying the game instead of down at the end of the game. Paul George, don't push me in a ditch and expect me to thank you when you almost get me out the ditch. Because he ain't got the Clippers out the ditch yet. It's still 3-2 and they down. Paul George done pushed them in a ditch. He done reached his hand out and he said, hey, I got you. He's pulling them out of it now. But I'm not going to praise Paul George in totality until he gets out of the ditch that he helped push the Clippers into.
Yeah, because you're ungrateful. I can see that right now because without Paul George on this team doing what he does in the exploits, it wouldn't be you looking for his hand in the ditch. It'd be 6 feet of dirt on your head because they will be dead without Kawhi, Serge Ibaka, and now Zubac, and then you trying to clown Paul George. Paul George is the reason why they're even in these positions.
This is the problem.
You have moved the goalpost.
This is the problem,
Move it back.
This is a problem.
This is not a problem.
You speak of someone in facts. You speak of someone in actuality.
This is your 5th take, though.
Nope, you speak of someone in, that's my 3rd. You speak of someone in actuality, and I'm clowning him. How is that? He went 5 for 20. That is a fact. He went 1 for 9. That is a fact. He went 12 for 18. That is a fact.
Yeah.
He did cost the Clippers game 2. That is a fact. I'm not clowning him.
No. You are clowning him because your hate is louder than your love. Because when I want balance, first of all, youngsters get balance. Scrubs get balance. When he does good, he does good. We're trying to figure you out. Your resume is blank. It's a blank canvas. We're trying to figure out everything he does. But then when you become a great, you got equity. That's why if you mess up 1-2 times out of 10, we're not going to highlight that. We're going to take notice of it. But your hate is louder than your love. It's okay. You know I respect my quote. Criticism is the cost of praise. We praise him, and we got to criticize him. But damn, where's the love? Let's put up a full screen right now, maybe visually.
I don't want to see it.
I notice you don't want to see it. You just want to out-talk me today. Let's see this full screen of Paul George. Damn, that's some good company. Wait a minute. That guy on the left. Is that the guy that sold Scottie Pippen out? Yeah, that's Michael Jordan. Okay, ding, 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 ding. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant, the great. Okay, who that other dude? Oh, probably the best player on the planet, definitely Kevin Durant. And what is Paul George doing right there? 20 points in each of their first 18 games. Talking about postseason. Let's give me some more love since you don't like that company. Paul George is one of 3 players over the last 40 seasons. 1, 2, 3, 4 decades to average 27, 9, and 5 in a single postseason. I don't hear that out of Acho's mouth. I got to say it, and I'm a Clipper fan, so that's what. Nobody respects him when I say it because they say, of course you're going to say some Clipper love. How about you say some Clipper love? How about you talk about PG joining your boy LeBron James, Tim Duncan, Larry Bird, so far so great, Charles Barkley and Clyde Drexler, only players since 1980, 491, 50, 100 in a postseason. That's my problem with you. My problem is this. You can point out 5 for 20. You've said it 3,000 times. But not once did you mention that full screen. Not once did you talk about how he's one of 3 players to do what he's done. Not once have you mentioned that he's put himself in Jordan company in some categories. Balance it out, Acho, if we're going to do this.
Here's how I'll balance it out, Sal.
Okay, here we go.
This is what I love about this show. Let me look at my dog. Let y'all look at us. First off, let me put my watch back on. Came undone.
Yo, somebody told me your watch don't fit, and then that just happened. That's a real thing. I didn't know.
Stop snitching, Twitter. My hate is not louder than my praise. People hear the hate louder than they hear the praise.
I'll give you that.
The hate
give you some of that.
is just as loud as the praise is, but people just hear the hate more. Sal, In our brains, when you're in a crowded room, you might not hear somebody ordering pizza. You might not hear somebody telling their significant other how good they look. But you know what you'll hear? Marcellus. You'll hear your name in a crowded room because that's the way the brain works, right? It's a certain system within the brain that allows us to hear the thing that we're listening for, even if we're not actively or consciously listening for it.
Okay.
It's not said any louder than anything else. You just don't hear the background noise. You hear what you're listening for, and you're always listening subliminally or subconsciously for your name. People are always listening for hate. The hate is not said any louder than the praise. I'm praising Paul George just like I hated on Paul George. I started the show by saying I will not discredit Paul George's performance. He had a miraculous, phenomenal performance last night in a closeout game. But all y'all heard, y'all, and this one, all y'all heard was the hate on PG. Nah, I'm just calling spades spades like I'm calling hearts hearts. The love comes out just like the black card comes out. But y'all only see the hate. DeMarcus Cousins. How you gonna say, where's all this hate come from? The hate comes from the game that you and PG collectively cost your team. Now, I understand you, Boogie Cousins, why you're gonna ignore what happened in game 2, because people on another network, an analyst on another network, the top analyst on another network, came out and said, Boogie Cousins, Max,
that's the top dog over there.
Came out and said, Boogie Cousins, you should have defended the basket more clearly. The top analyst at another network came out and said, it's your fault, Boogie Cousins, that y'all lost game 2. So it probably behooves Boogie Cousins to say, hey, you know what Paul George did in game 2, we're just going to turn the blind eye to, because y'all are both actually held responsible for that game 2 loss. Don't act surprised, bruh. We praise you when you do well. We highlight you when you do poorly. Don't just look at one side of the coin.
Nah, you flipped that. You almost had me, too, because...
What'd I flip?
Well, I knew I should have... I like you so much that I ride with you, and then I realize where we're going. I'm like, wait a minute, let me out.
What'd I do wrong,
Man, I feel like Trey and Boy in the Hood. Hey, Acho, let me out. I don't want to go this far no more. That's 2 stories you done give me. You gave me 2 stories in one block without names. This a gangster show, dog. Ain't no moderator here. Hi. Ain't none of that. We say names and numbers on this show. All right. You're a part of society that doesn't understand what society really is based on. We have a negative-based society. It's not about our hearing and the volume of what's said. It's about how we go about our daily business. In a negative-based society, we don't hand out rewards as frequent as we do penalties, correct? Let me give it to you like this in your new Lexus. When you drive in the speed limit and you do all the right things, no one pulls you over and says anything. That's expectation. Because Paul George has superstar expectations.
You going somewhere?
You know I'm going. What you talking about, Willis? And so, in a negative-based society, which Acho participates fully in, and I take notice of, but I try not to, keep one foot in, one foot out, I notice that the police will only pull you over when you have committed an infraction, when you went 36 in that 35, or you went and ran that red light. They pull you over, and in all the times that you did the right thing, Paul George, we ain't got nothing to say. But this time, we own you 5 for 20, Mr. Free Throw. Well, we wouldn't be in this position in the first place. So you sitting there telling the cops like Paul George is telling Nacho, hey, man, why you pull me over this time? It's barely something. I missed a free throw. What do you want me to do? That's the problem with you. Call him by his new nickname.
What?
And this is the problem. This is why you don't have nicknames. Because a nickname will set you up for failure. It will set you up to be a lightning rod. People will attack you. That's why every song lyric tries to rhyme. Every commercial has slogans. Because it's catchy. Playoff P sounds great, but boy, if you ain't playoff P in perfection, blah, blah, blah. And that's what they doing to him. So he became a running joke. He became the joke. And now we gonna rename him Figueroa Fresh. That's right. You don't know where Staples Center is? Damn it. Figueroa Fresh. That's what I'm gonna call him. Forget all this playoff P, because that's personalized. We gonna call him by who he is. Figueroa Fresh. Watch Staples Center Wednesday night. Paul George go out there and show out.
So
Figueroa Fresh style. I got you on that negative base.
You did to a little bit, but no, here's the...
To a little bit?
To a little bit.
You negative.
I will not applaud a fish for swimming, and I will not applaud a star for being a star. If he wants to be a superstar, I will applaud him for that. He had a superstar performance last night. Paul George makes $35.4 million.
Oh, money validation.
I won't applaud a guy who gets paid $500,000 a game. I won't applaud him.
You better applaud him when you win.
What I will applaud him for doing is being a superstar. I'm not going to applaud a star for being a star. He's supposed to be a star. Last night was a superstar performance.
Yeah.
You don't get validation when you drive the speed limit because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, nice.
I'm not going to validate Paul George for scoring 20 points a game because that's what he's supposed to do.
Oh, okay.
I'll applaud him when he drops 40 and gets 13 rebounds. That's not necessarily what he's supposed to do. But I'm not going to applaud Paul George for being the best player on the floor. You get paid the most money on the floor. So if you're getting paid for your play and you're getting paid the most, then you should probably be the best. I'm not going to applaud a fish for swimming, Sal. Now, will I applaud a fish, I don't know, for jumping out the water and doing a pirouette in the air and then diving back in the water? Absolutely, yes. We stand up when we see them do that.
And get wet, too.
We do. But we don't necessarily stand up when we see a dolphin just swim. That's what dolphins supposed to do.
Okay, but here's the problem. You know, in the locker room, the argument is over and lost. Soon as one of the participants in the dozens, in the jokes, goes to the money. You know that. If I'm joning on your jacket and you start saying, but look how much I'm making.
You're right.
You brought up money, so I'm not going to do it because we ain't in the locker room. This is a studio, but it's kind of the same mindset. You better stop with that money validation. This is what's wrong with our society.
What?
The fathers are gone. They're absent. All ethnicities, all races, is just, we're not there. Okay. And I can tell you ain't got no kids. You fatherless. You a fatherless man talking with the lack of wisdom. Because you know why? My son ain't, Lord, all my kids, but my son particularly, because this is my dude. Yeah, I expect him to wake up. Yeah, I expect him to try and put on his clothes. Yeah, I expect him. But I also applaud him every time, every step of the way of that expectation because he is on the path of greatness, just like Paul George.
I've seen you not applaud MJ before. I will pull up the Instagram
tear that boy
videos.
up if he do that again, too. Man, you a snitch. You're going to take my name, but not the other two stories. Coming up, Giannis says if Chris Middleton wants the ball, he gets it. I'll tell you if he should care about being the Bucks closer. But first, Scottie Pippen is not holding back. Now he's calling Phil Jackson a racist? Wow. We'll tell you how we feel about his huge accusation. Next on Speak for Yourself. I saw what y'all did there, too.
Kim Legler. Scottie Pippen, he ain't been holding his tongue this summer at all. First, it was Kevin Durant. Shots at him. Now it's former coach Phil Jackson. Pippen recently said in a GQ magazine that Jackson's choice for Tony Kukoc to take the final shot in 1994 playoff game was a, quote, racial move. Pippen doubled down to Dan Patrick when he was asked if he was calling Jackson a racist. Pippen said, quote, I don't have a problem with that. Smoke, baby, is all of it, too. So,
yes.
How should we feel about Scottie Pippen's comments towards Phil Jackson?
One, I think we need to keep it in context. He's in full promotion mode right now.
Fair.
So when you're in full promotion mode, all that means is you're just going to exaggerate. You may feel these things to the core, but there's going to be an exaggeration to whatever's coming out of Scottie Pippen right now in this cycle, as they would call it, as you're doing your run in promotion of your product. Digits, bourbon. Yeah, it sounds like he done took a few of the free swag to the dome. Scotty, holla at your boy, man. Let's hydrate together so I can get some of this out of me as well. Now, let me tell you about these same comments. And I saw this coming from Scottie Pippen. And I actually feel for Scottie Pippen. If you want to ask me where I side, not in this conversation in particular, but just in general, I'll side with Scottie Pippen. Let me tell you why I saw this coming. Because Scottie Pippen was a part of the fraternity. A fraternity that has a code. We both know the code to the point where you just told me a story about a teammate that stole something and didn't tell me his name because you know the code. You wouldn't let all America know. Now, off mic, you'll probably tell me or text me, but they don't know because you're protecting the code. Scottie Pippen is sitting there watching Michael Jordan do a documentary about us, but it became about you. When you couldn't be you without me. I'm going to say that again, damn it. No, I ain't, because that was tough. No, but, hey, Kendrick Lamar wrote that one. So the point is, Scottie Pippen saying, okay, last dance. It's we time. Because, boy, MJ wasn't nothing without me, right? I mean, he was MJ, but he needed me. And then that whole thing became not only about MJ, but shots at Scottie, Mr. 1.8. Quitting on his team. Why is that getting highlighted, exaggerated? Okay, so now we got some meat in this gumbo. Now we need some seafood. We need some of that seafood, some of that crab up in there. And then all of a sudden, I'm gonna say this with balance. Scottie Pippen going through his divorce. I'm gonna tell you what I learned from Scottie Pippen and witnessing that divorce. that attention is currency. And he learned that the hard way from his ex-wife, now having his name, but not playing with his team anymore, and watching how that all has unfolded. Scottie Pippen has been sitting there preserving the code of not only the fraternity, but the sanctity of marriage, even in divorce, still the family name. And boy, I think Scottie took one of them digits to the head and said, you know what? Enough is enough. Why am I protecting things that no one else is protecting? Now let me get a little specific with these Phil Jackson comments. The first layer I want to talk about is, I think this started because of Tony Kukoc. Simple as that. NBA was going global. They found a European sensation. He comes over here. He's making more money than Scottie Pippen. He even made more money than Michael Jordan one year. And then them dudes looking around saying, man, not noticing the preferential treatment was bigger than them, not racially motivated, just the fact that these are the circumstances. So I think they took that and misconstrued it as racism. All that said, I got to pass the baton to my co-host over here, but watch this gumbo we gonna cook up as we layer this one out.
Ooh, we going places. If y'all just tuned in, you would be a fool to change the channel.
Say it.
Let me get my tie straight for this.
You going there?
I'm going there.
Let's go.
Scottie Pippen may not have been wrong about Phil Jackson being racist, but he used the wrong evidence.
Oh.
So I'm sure you've had this conversation before. I've had this conversation with a female friend of mine, and they'd be like, yeah, I was talking to this guy last night, and he was such a creep. In defense, I'm like, what did he do? Did he elongate the hug too much? What did he do? And they're like, he asked for my number. What else did he do? I mean, he just asked for my number. That's what made him a creep. Scottie Pippen may not have been wrong about Phil Jackson being racist, but he used the wrong evidence. The evidence Scottie Pippen used was that Phil Jackson called for Tony Kukoc to take the final shot, game 3 of a series in which you're already down 2-0. Well, Scottie Pippen, with 5.5 seconds left, you took a shot, it went off the top of the backboard. Patrick Ewing goes down, hits a shot, now it's a tied game. Phil Jackson, he ain't gonna call a shot for you. You just took one, hit the top of the backboard. He calling it for Kukoc. That has nothing to do with racism. He just called the shot for the better player, and the better player in that moment made the better shot. Now, the evidence Scottie Pippen could have used was a 1999 quote from his head coach, Phil Jackson, the year after the team had now gone their separate ways, when Phil Jackson says, I don't mean to say that as a snide remark toward a certain population in our society, but they have a limitation of their attention span. A lot of it probably due to too much going in their ears and coming out of their being. Too much rap music going into their ears and coming out of their being. Now, that's a little eyebrow raising. Scottie Pippen, if you were going to use evidence, you probably should have used the evidence from 2005 when Phil Jackson, in regards to the NBA dress code, says the players have been dressing in prison garb for the last 5 or 6 years. All the stuff that goes on, it's like gangster thuggery stuff. It's been time to do that as far as instilling an NBA dress code. Now, the players at hand, obviously, he was talking about was Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson was a very famous player who started the new changing of the dress code. Scottie Pippen, I'm not saying that you're wrong in calling Phil Jackson racist. I'm also not saying that you're right. All I'm saying is this. You used the wrong evidence. If you was gonna make a claim, that is the evidence you should have used. Not saying that he chose Tony Kukoc to take the last shot, because Tony Kukoc made the last shot.
Interesting. Where's the posse quote in there? Remember you don't remember that one? Oh, Phil Jackson said, what was it, LeBron and his posse?
Phil Jackson got some quotes now.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm not going to defend Phil Jackson.
What you going to do?
But I am going to defend how we misconstrue sometimes what's racial and what's racist. And
thank you. Go there.
You want to go there?
I'm with you.
Well, let's go call Dan Patrick and bring him up here, because Dan Patrick went there first. He heard Scottie Pippen say something that was racial. And then Scottie, why'd you jump on that trampoline and go all the way to racist? And you know what? Because I deal with this all the time, and thankfully, I've been able to distill this ever since junior high school. Black person comes up to me, Marcellus, you're corny. Now, where I'm from, I am corny. Probably in mainstream America, I'm still corny. I laugh 3 times a minute. Growing up, that was a problem. Marcellus always laughing at stuff, making light of stuff. He's so lighthearted, he's corny. I like being corny, actually, because in my world growing up, the alternative was gangster, was thuggery and all that stuff. So I was like, nah, I'm going to laugh at all this trivial stuff. And the only thing that's really going to hit me is something that really hits me. So I'm corny. Black person called me corny all day, every day, growing up. Fine. They were just hating. white person at Columbia come up to me, Marcel's corny. Wait a minute, why he corny? Because, man, you racist. Wait a minute, y'all, wait a minute. Y'all ain't been with me all this time. All these black people been calling me corny, and it wasn't racist. It wasn't even racial. And that situation at Columbia wasn't even racial either. But that's how it gets misconstrued so many times. My daddy taught me, like, he said, you ain't got to squint for it, bruh. He's like, when it's racist, it is overt. It can come in subliminal ways. I understand that. But it's not you trying to dig and find and be meticulous with it, because it's going to come and glow right at you.
Yeah, Scottie Pippen, again, we've talked about this a lot on the show. He had a logical fallacy. Scottie Pippen's logical fallacy, or the error in his logic, to break that down a little simpler, was this. Okay, Michael Jordan is no longer on the team. He out there playing baseball. I'm on the team. I'm supposed to be the guy. I'm the best player on the team. I'm supposed to be the guy. So really, I should get the last shot. If a white guy ends up getting the last shot, and the only reason he's getting the last shot, it can't be because he's better than me. So it has to be because he's white. Logical fallacy. Scottie Pippen, your last shot just went off top of the backboard. It is not because he's white. It's because in that moment, Phil Jackson, Hall of Fame head coach, maybe the greatest head coach of all time basketball-wise, said, I'm going to go with the guy who I trust to make the shot, and he made the shot. Now, Sel hit the nail on the head, because things can be racially ignorant, things can be racially insensitive, or things cannot be racist at all. But we just categorize it as like, that had to do with race, made me feel the wrong way. Racist. Example, Sel. If a dude preferred a black woman to a white woman, if a white dude preferred a white woman to a black woman, whatever the case may be, you prefer this type of woman? Racist.
Yeah.
No, it's not racist at all. Right? We just jump to categorize things as racist. Even if Phil Jackson would have had Kukoc take the last shot because Kukoc was white, that still wouldn't have been racist.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
well,
that still wouldn't have been racist in that moment. So I think that Scottie Pippen, he shouldn't have drank the Kool-Aid, if you will. Like, he was tiptoeing around something. He got asked a question that, even had he really thought about it, I don't know that yes would have been his answer. At least not with that train of thought, and at least not with that logic.
Well, you got to understand, let's go circle back full boomerang, because Scottie Pippen has learned from Michael Jordan, from his ex-wife, that attention is the new currency, and it's in inflation right now. So it's getting value more so than ever, and it doesn't have to have the premise and the substance that it once used to have. Like, it used to be a time where people would say, mind your own business. And that was currency. Those who stayed focused in the narrow lane and just ran around the track staying in their lane were actually rewarded. But now you're taught that it's rewarding to get out of your lane, at least step on it, clout chase, pull at others, take shot at others, and see where the collateral damage allows you to fail forward. So Scottie Pippen gets here. He's already seen people, the closest people to him, I would imagine, in your professional love and life, Michael Jordan, and then in your real world, your ex-wife, wife at the time, and everybody not only are departing, but they're breaking code. Acho, you know I'm co-host killer, and that ain't got nothing to do with what I've done for anybody. They all went, and most of them, if not all of them, went off to greener pastures. But I never, ever will talk about them in a negative light. I would tell you my truths, but I would never break our codes, because I protect the guilty. And it's crazy that Scottie Pippen's looking like Michael Jordan, like, you didn't protect our relationship. He looking at his ex-wife like, you're not going to protect our relationship. And this is how y'all going to play it. So I think when he goes to Dan Patrick, he's still Scottie Pippen good at heart. But then Dan, the vet, showed him that trampoline and said, Rachel's over there, jump on it. Racist! And Scottie's still somewhere in the air sipping bourbon. Coming up, we're hearing Mac Jones has looked better than Cam Newton this offseason. We'll tell you if we're confident Cam wins the starting job. That's next on Speak for Yourself. Saturday, the last two World Series champs collide as the Dodgers take on the Nationals, plus the Red Sox battle the A's. Saturday, 7 Eastern, only on Fox. Check local listings for the game in your area. And Bill Belichick has said this offseason that Cam Newton is the Patriot starter. But reports say Mac Jones, who? Mac Jones got more reps on a number of occasions, and up to the final day of minicamp, look better than Cam, that's what they're saying. An anonymous Patriot even said the rookie quarterback sees the game the way offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels sees it. All right, Anonymous. So, Acho, are you confident Cam wins the starting job over who? Mac Jones?
No, sir. I don't think Cam Newton will win the starting job over Mac Jones. Here's what we have to do, y'all. Sometimes it's tough on this show for Sel and I to remove our, not biases, but remove our affiliations, if you will.
Stop projecting over here.
It is. It is. You
Like
talk
what?
about your Clippers. Huh? And you love your Clippers relentlessly.
And Chargers.
Exactly.
And Bills.
It's hard for
and
us
Ravens.
to remove our affiliations, our feelings. So here's what I'm going to do for the sake of this argument.
Let's do it right.
I'm going to make some players and some statistics faceless and nameless.
Oh, really?
For the sake of this argument.
All right, let's do it.
32 out of 34 first-round quarterbacks since 2010 started a game their rookie season. 94% of first-round quarterbacks since 2010 started a game their rookie season. An individual that was a starting quarterback last year gave his backup 4 opportunities to take his job. An individual gave his backup 4 opportunities to take his job. 32 out of 34 quarterbacks since 2010, first-round picks, started a game their rookie season. Now, Mac Jones, now to bring a face to it, is a first-round quarterback. And Mac Jones would be the backup quarterback to Cam Newton. If Cam Newton allowed his backup 4 opportunities to take his job last year, and this year, Cam Newton's backup is a first-round pick who already has a 95% chance of starting this year, then Sel. It's abundantly clear that Cam Newton will very, very, very much so unlikely win the starting job. And even if he does, I doubt he will keep the starting job. Faceless, nameless, stats and facts.
Okay, your best way of being objective after that Paul George, a Clipper rant that you went on that wasn't as objective. I respect what you just said. You're right. There is a 6% chance, though. That's all I heard. You know what I'm saying? I'm not listening to 94. That's over there. Over here, 6% chance to keep Cam Newton in his position. But, yes, I'm confident he will win the starting job. One, the guy who's making the decision already said he's the starter, so that kind of helps. Acho, forget TV and cameras. And
just us.
Yeah, just us.
So y'all ain't here.
All right, we walk out on the field, and Coach looking at us. We both play linebacker. This is me now. I'm 250, so yeah, I can play linebacker. I ain't gonna cover everybody, but I'm there. We walk out. Coach say, "Come here, Wiley. You starting? How you feel?"
I'm sick.
Okay, good. You should be sick because you're Mac Jones. And guess what? That's what he said to Cam Newton. He's starting. Now, all that has to happen are 2 things. You got to be better than me, which is going to be tough, if not impossible, because perception is reality. When a coach already perceives you as the starter, he ain't even respecting fully what you gonna do. Because I've been a backup before balling before the starter. And I'm like, dog, I'm over here beating him out. But there's more to the equation than just what you see. 2, I got to go backwards. You're betting on that one. Cam's going backwards. I could give you some of that based off of year 1. But I remind you, year 1, Belichick system in New England. Either you sit or you suck. Simple as that, and I got name after name that has lived up to that same billing. In New England, I think Bill Belichick loves to remind new players, young players, that it ain't all sweet up here. This New England clam chowder culture ain't sweet, bruh. You're gonna have to taste it. They done made many a good to great players realize, oh, well, maybe I don't cut it up there in New England. So Mac Jones is the future, therefore he's not the present. Cam Newton's going to take the lumps for this team, partly because they're built to run the football. Cam Newton is going to look worse in practice than most quarterbacks because what his greatest attribute, at least in balance, is running the football. And one thing you can't do in practice is have a running quarterback or touch that running quarterback. So we don't even understand when plays break down. Cam Newton takes off for the first down. When plays break down, he extends it and throws that pass for that touchdown. You don't get that complexion in practice. So Mac Jones is going to look better because Cam Newton got hurt this minicamp. Cam Newton can't run in minicamp, and his greatest attributes aren't being highlighted. But when Coach already pointed out that you the man, good luck trying to prove him wrong.
Well, let me start here.
Okay, let's start there.
Words in 2021, we know that they mean nothing. The reason, Sel, that you always bring up I'm super single, still not sure what the super prefix means.
But yeah, what were you
the reason you always bring up that I am super single is, Sel, I got trust issues.
You think we don't see them? What you mean? Like you breaking news.
But I got trust issues with the words, and I got trust issues with the world. So, dating relationships don't mean nothing, America. Even people who are engaged, that don't mean nothing. Engagements can get broken off. But
1, 2, 3, 4, hit it.
But when somebody's married, that's when you like, oh, okay.
Oh, okay, you about that life. Yeah. I feel you.
He off limits?
Yeah.
She off limits. That's it.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick ain't married to Cam Newton. He's not even engaged to Cam Newton. Bill Belichick is seeing Cam Newton. Because when you seeing somebody, you can go see somebody else. Like he saw Jarrett Stidham at the end of the 49ers game. Like he saw Jarrett Stidham at the end of the Chargers
that was
game.
The Uber driver taking them home.
When you dating somebody, you can go date somebody else. Bill Belichick is just dating Cam Newton. He ain't worried about that level of commitment. But furthermore, let me bring this back to domesticated house life.
Yeah. How you know?
Here's what I do know.
What, you grew up
So
in one?
I get a lot of gifts now, right? People
I've noticed you just got a Lexus, and I heard they gave you 2. Sam or me? What did you do?
People just send me stuff. Now, here's the problem. When somebody sends me something for my house, it might be a pillow, it might be a blanket, whatever the case may be, I have to try to find a way to make room for it. But when I go buy something for my house, it makes room for itself.
I like that.
It makes room for itself when I buy something for my house because I intentionally had a place to put it. But when somebody gifts me with something, now I just got to put it in the closet or maybe I'll use it until I go buy what I actually want. First-round picks make room for themselves. Because Bill Belichick actually went out and he's drafted 12 quarterbacks in his coaching tenure, but only one in the first round. So Bill Belichick went out and purchased Mac Jones, and Mac Jones was expensive. First-round picks, they make room. Whereas Cam Newton was an afterthought last year in June or July when he was picked up, and they had to try to find a way to put him somewhere until they actually purchased what they wanted. So that, if nothing else, Sal, is why I'm convinced it's really Mac Jones' job and Cam Newton's a placeholder.
I like all of that, man. But you need to give me your IG login because these DMs sounding real thirsty. They sending you pillows and blankets? That's what the girls do now? Thirsty?
You married. What you need my IG login for? What you gonna do?
Hey, I'm gonna tell you right now. All right, Hey, Marino, these eyeballs still go up and down and swipe. What is it, scroll? I don't know. Let me just see where these pillows and blankets. I got room. Once you get out of Beverly Hills adjacent, you have more room, damn it. Go to Beverly Hills, you have room. Here's the thing. Boy, you going a long way with this whole, you were an afterthought and you're the guy I want. Because you got to respect the birth certificate. You got to respect the experience level. You got to respect what you're bringing Mac Jones into. And first, let's introduce him to it. Mac Jones has not even seen the NFL speed yet. He doesn't know what the speed limit is. He doesn't know the rules of the road. He doesn't know anything. He only started 17 games at Alabama. I'm not slighting Mac Jones. That's not the heaviest of resumes, especially when most people say you were on the most talented, most productive team in Alabama history. So let's just say maybe there was some inflation in terms of resources around you. Now we're going to throw him to the fire in a sit or suck system in year one, most complex offensive system, at least a lot of my friends and former teammates told me about New England. It was customized. The glove did fit Tom Brady for 20 years. They take the glove off. Acho, you see my fingers? I had custom gloves. Look at this. Take this, and 20 years of sweat, tears, blood. Then they take them off, and for some reason, they say, Acho, put them on. They not gonna fit. They didn't fit Cam Newton last year. So what they do, they went out there and got more gloves. They went out there and got more resources. They went out there and drafted well. They went out there and spent the most money in free agency, damn near history. Now, Cam Newton, let's just see if it fits. If it doesn't fit, we'll try to force it. If we can't force it, we got backup. To me, that's the process.
Let's talk ball, Sal. You always bring up the fact that we don't have a host. America, hopefully you all feel fortunate because it's just two dudes keeping it real. So I'm going to keep it real, and I love my dog so he wouldn't trip. We know that there are first-round picks that we all played with or that were drafted who really had no business being on the field when they got on the field. But because they were a first-round pick, they played. Yes. My dog, a dude I consider a little bro of mine, Marcus Smith. We drafted him maybe 2014 Philadelphia Eagles from Louisville. Dude balled in college. I think led the league in sacks his last year in college. We take him in the first round. Relatively unnecessarily. Still had Brandon Graham playing for the Eagles. Brandon Graham made the biggest play in the Eagles' biggest game, the Super Bowl, which they won. Still had a dude named Connor Barwin coming off of an NFC leading sack season. But we drafted defensive end in the first round. So we draft him in the first round. I'm trying to figure out where this dude gonna play, because we still got 2 great defensive ends, but the Eagles didn't think Brandon Graham still had a lot of talent left, so he was supposed to take over for BG. Marcus Smith wasn't good enough to take over for BG. So guess what happens and who strolls in as I'm sitting in inside linebacker rooms during training camp. All of a sudden walks in this 6'4", 260-pound defensive end, first-round pick, Marcus Smith. Because they couldn't find a place to put him at outside linebacker defensive end. They're like, no. We drafted you in the first round. You gonna find the field because you're a first-round pick, and we make room for first-round picks. Even if Cam Newton is more talented, I'm not convinced that Mac Jones won't get burned, because I know in my experience, I've seen it several times. You played 2.5 times as long as me, so I know for certain in your experience, you've seen it. First-round picks, even if they don't deserve it, they get room made for them because of where they're drafted.
Yeah, that's facts. I'm not arguing that. I was a second-rounder who benefited and was penalized by that same thing. There were times where I was better than the guys that were out there starting, but because they already had their contracts bunkered in, et cetera, veteran, whatever it may be, I was penalized. But there was also a time when I didn't play well. I always tell the story. My rookie year in training camp, Pat Williams, undrafted, was killing me at D-line. But he was undrafted. So they made room for me, and then they were looking at Pat like he was on a bubble. He ends up making a team and has a better career than even I did. But let's talk about Cam Newton, what he did last year. Cam Newton, the only thing he did was take this off the table. You are not going to be our long-term future. I think that they looked at Cam Newton and said, we'll see what happens. He's younger than Russell Wilson. He's younger than Ryan Tannehill. And they said, we'll see. That was a disaster pretty much in terms of future franchise quarterback. But in present franchise quarterback, 1 year, Cam, we're going to reload. You go out there, make your money, because it's going to be elsewhere, because we got our future, and he's not our present. I swear that's how New England is playing this. Coming up, Chris Middleton's dominant fourth quarter led the Bucks to a game tray win. We'll tell you if Giannis should care about being the team's closer. That's next on Speak for Yourself. Oh, my goodness, you'll have to speak for yourself. Special cultural edition right here. Marcel's Wiley Acho. Let's head back to the NBA, where the Bucks can take a commanding 3-1 series lead with a win tonight. Trae Young is questionable for Atlanta, but the Bucks' power duo is set. Giannis is a 2-time MVP, but Chris Middleton stole the show in Game 3 with 38 points, including 20 in the fourth quarter. Giannis seems to have no problem deferring to him late in the game. Take a listen.
We were like, get the hell out of the way, give him the ball, take us home, Chris, and that's what he did. I trust this guy to death. And if he wants the ball, he gets it. Simple as that. He was knocking down shots.
Man, got to bring in Fox NBA analyst Chris Broussard, but Acho, should Giannis care about being the Bucks' closer?
Absolutely not. Giannis is playing the game of basketball the right way, and here's the problem. We live in the wrong society. And that's why we can't identify what is right, because we live in a society of wrong. I didn't plan on starting here, but I got to start here. Y'all remember LeBron James last year, Game 5 against the Heat, I believe it was, closeout game. LeBron James is driving to the cup, 4 people on him, ball, game on the line. So he kicks it back to Danny Green, who's literally paid to be right there at that time to take the shot. We criticize LeBron James for that play. LeBron James finished the game with 40, 13, and 7. Broussard, you know this because you were analyst of all analysts. We criticized him for that play. Who did we praise after that game? We praised Dame Dollar, and we praised Dame Dollar on Twitter, because what did Dame Dollar say on Twitter just after that when asked, did LeBron make the wrong decision? Dame said, no, he made the right play, but I would have shot on both they asked, close quote. Over 21,000 retweets and 133,000 likes and 2 chuckles from my co-host today. With that being said, we praised the dude who literally admitted he would have made the wrong play, but the selfish play. And we criticized the dude who had 40, 13, and 7 for making the right decision. That was LeBron James. I am not going to make that same error. Giannis plays a game of basketball on his team the right way, understanding, you know what? I might not be best with 3 minutes or left in the game when we got to get a bucket if they're completely collapsing the paint. Let me go ahead and let Chris Middleton take over. I am not going to live in a selfish society mentally when the team is the way that is always going to lead to ultimate success. Giannis shouldn't have an issue with not being the Bucks closer.
I'm actually with you, Acho. Look, this whole you got to close the game if you're the superstar thing is ridiculous. I'm going to take you back in time.
Take me back, CB.
The great Magic Johnson, right? And it was the Showtime Lakers were Magic's Lakers. He wasn't the closer. 1988, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was 41 years old, averaging 14 points a game. And they went to Kareem at the end of the game, and the phantom foul on Bill Laimbeer. Kareem gets fouled, hits the 2 free throws. They win Game 6, going to win the series. Magic wasn't the closer. Even 1987, which we all remember Magic for the what? Junior Sky Hook. Magic told me himself that he was the third option on that play. He said James Worthy was the first option. Kareem was the second option. Neither of those was there, so Magic took it. Did he complain? Why am I not getting the ball? Why are you drawing up the play for me? No. And we don't hold it against Magic. Doesn't hurt his legacy at all. You mentioned LeBron, Acho. Let's go to 2016. Golden State, a minute 9 left. Guess who's inbounding the ball? LeBron James. Now, Scottie Pippen is talking like inbounding the ball is for scrubs. LeBron James inbounded the ball to Kyrie, runs over to the opposite corner, and stands there while Kyrie shakes it up and puts up the three-pointer over Steph Curry. We can go to the point 4. I was in the building, 2004, Shaq and Kobe against the Duncan Spurs. They, 0.4 of a second left. They inbound the ball to Derek Fisher. Kobe's there. Shaq's there. They go to Derek Fisher. He turns around and hits the historic shot.
My dog.
So, look, I'll say this.
Say it.
Giannis should be concerned about continuing to develop the skills that would make him a better closer, right? Work on your jump shot, your mid-range, your 3, your post game. Continue to work on that. Not so you can become the closer, but so that you can be a better player overall, and that will make you a better closer.
Oh, man, I hate to disagree with you guys because your takes are so strong. Damn, CB got receipts. Physically, literally, in the closet, everywhere. They're just falling out of his pocket, those receipts. I respect both of your takes, but I wholeheartedly disagree. First of all, let me let you know who I really am. My name is Marcellus Vernon Wiley. I have a sociology degree and a psychology minor degree from Columbia University in New York. You know why I have those degrees? Because I like to study the patterns of behavior in life and just make it simple. Y'all getting way too complex with this. One, let's not be so narrow-minded to think that when you say closer, that means that you have to always take the last shot. No, let's just expand that when we talk about a closer. And this is why Giannis should care that he's not being considered the Bucks' closer. It's an instant demotion as soon as you consider yourself not the closer. Let me tell you why. Because upstairs in their psychology, they're already thinking, oh, you're not the closer. Oh, excuse me, let me personalize this. Oh, Marcellus, you don't need to be on the field on third down, money down. When we need you most, we'll let somebody else go handle that. As soon as you give them an inch, they take a mile. Now, we're not talking literally here. You must always take the last shot. Kind of Kobe Bryant in a sense, most of the times. We're talking about just figuratively. Like, you just can't let them think that you're not the guy that's most clutch on your team when you're actually the best player on your team. Giannis, right here, look at this, man. He scored at least 30 points in all of the 3 games that Middleton had 30 points this postseason. Wait a minute. Giannis has the most games over 30 points this postseason with 9. And then Middleton only has 3, but every time he gets his 30, Giannis right there with him. Come on, you guys. We can't give him that. We can't allow him to make everyone think in perception that I'm not as clutch. I think Acho had a take about this maybe a week ago when he was saying, Giannis looked at Middleton one day and said, man, why am I passing you the ball when... Put Acho face on there because I think I'm going somewhere. Why I'm passing you the ball when I'm the dude that could do the same thing that you do, but you're getting the credit for it. So I'm sorry, y'all. I've been in this position before. I'm not giving them anything to pull on. I'm the man. I'm the closer.
Here's the thing, though, Sel. If you are questioning your authority or your rightful space in that team, then yeah, you got to question if you're the closer or not. You got to question whether or not you need to be. But when you're secure in who you are, you ain't got to have that issue. Broussard, true story. Okay. Me and Sel, just before this block, during commercial break, I was like, hey, big dog, like, you were just as good as Pat Williams, right? Like, Pat Williams is who, in the last break, he was saying, well, Pat Williams was better than me. I'm like, Pat Williams played a few more years, but y'all both made the same 3 Pro Bowls, both were all pros, etc. But then we kind of conceded, when you content where you at in life, it don't matter if you praise another individual, because you good with where you are. You're secure with where you are. Giannis is secure with where he is. 2-time MVP, Supermax player, beloved by the city, beloved by the majority of basketball fandom. I don't think he's worried about little things like, oh, he's not enough of a closer. He's just worried about being chips, and that has to do with his security. He knows he's safe, thus he's not worried about winning a war of words. He's worried about winning a war of titles.
Ooh.
I also don't think we need, you mentioned it, Marcellus, taking closer literally.
Yeah.
The Bucks aren't defining a closer. You know, Mike Budenholzer's not in the locker room saying, okay, when we get to the fourth quarter, Chris, take us home. You getting 80% of the shots. No, I guarantee you, if Drew Holiday was the hot hand and was doing what Chris Middleton had done, he might have got the last shot. Like, that's what the Bucks do. And here's where it will hurt Giannis, and the only place it'll hurt him. When you nitpick and you're talking about who's the best player in the world or who's the GOAT, if he ever gets in that conversation, that's when you're nitpicking about a bunch of phenomenal players, right? They're all great. And so you look for little things they weren't the greatest at. So if Giannis is in a discussion with Michael Jordan or somebody like that, then you'll say, well, Jordan was the closer, though, too. And that's where Giannis would fall short. But outside of things like that, it doesn't matter, because without his 32 and 15 that he's giving them basically every night in the playoffs, they wouldn't be in position for Chris Middleton or anyone else to close.
That's real. And let's keep it real, because nature keeps it real. And I learned so much from nature when I get all complex like you guys, and I get ahead of my skis and I start figuring things out and I'm running calculus. I say, hold on, let's go basic math. Watch nature. Because sports are primal. And I don't understand why people don't understand this. It's really primal. Let's give you this example, because Acho and I always have this argument. I have never seen a player ever defer voluntarily on any team in my life. Ever. What happens is, consciously or subconsciously, you realize I got limits, or that guy's better than me. So because I have limits, because that guy's better than me, all of a sudden we're going to term that as deferring. Let me give you another example. When you get in the car, it's your car. In sports, every single player wants the keys. Stop lying to yourself. That's why when it's your car and you ready, hey, Chris, hey, Acho, let's go to the beach. Guess what you scream out first? I got shotgun. You ain't never heard somebody say, I got back seat. You know why you ain't got back seat? Because nobody wants to be in the back seat. And you know you better not ask for these keys, because, boy, this is my car. And that's what Giannis needs to tell Chris Middleton. Run with this narrative, but in reality, I'm the one driving, bro.
I got something new for you, Sel, and it's going to bring this entire show full circle. We can't have it both ways. We spent the first 20 minutes of the show talking about Scottie Pippen. Why were we talking about Scottie Pippen? Because he said, I call shotgun. I call driver's seat.
He ain't call shotgun.
Phil Jackson was like, nah, big dog. You sitting in the back. You going to inbound the ball. Now, we spend the whole show talking about how Scottie is selfish, and Scottie is selfish. Kevin Durant, one of the greats right now, calls him Scott. You the same Scott that didn't want to go into the game? But then you look at the flip side, Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl in which they lost to the Patriots. CB, I'm sure you know this game. Sel, obviously you know this game. Marshawn Lynch. 2-yard line. He could have been like, well, if y'all ain't going to hand me the ball, I'm just going to sit on the bench.
How'd that turn out?
Instead, he sits there and acts like a proper teammate, lets Russell Wilson pass the ball, throws an interception. You can't have it both ways. Either we go. The both ways is this. We either can't criticize Scottie Pippen when he doesn't, when he wants to sit down and say, you know what, if I'm not going to get it, then I don't want to be in the game at all.
We can't criticize Scottie Pippen for 1.8.
We can't have it both ways, because Giannis is being an adequate teammate. He's like, hey, Middleton, you got the hot hand, you take the shot. Drew, you got the hot hand, you take the shot. CB, I'm going to your point. Game 7, overtime. Kevin Durant, I believe, took 6 out of the 7 shots for the Nets. Giannis, on the other hand, said, hey, Middleton, you take the first two. Okay, you miss. Hey, Drew, you take the next two. Okay, you miss. Giannis said, all right, now it's my turn. Bucket. Flip side, Kevin Durant said, it's my turn every turn. And guess who lost the game? Guess who went 0 for 5 from the field? I'm just presenting the information, Sel.
No, that's all.
Preaching.
That was
you preaching.
That was all over the place. Go ahead.
Can I quickly?
No, go ahead.
Can I quickly tell y'all how the 1993 finals ended with the Phoenix Suns?
Go ahead.
Michael Jordan, the great Michael Jordan, gets the ball in the back court. 6'2" Frank Johnson guarding. Passes the ball up to half court Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen dribbles down the middle of the court, kicks it to Horace Grant. Horace Grant dribbles toward the wing, kicks it to John Paxson. John Paxson. Paxson hits the shot, wins the game. Michael Jordan wasn't even involved in the play. Now, if that happened today to Giannis, to LeBron, to Kawhi, Paul George, whoever, we would be killing them. At least be in the play, but it's a team sport, and Giannis rightly understands that.
I can't believe y'all tried to twist my words.
It's
like
over
this.
for you, Sel.
I said a closer is not literal. I said that Jordan knew that John Paxson and Steve Kerr existed for a reason, and they became names for those clutch moments, closing moments. But don't compare Jordan to Pippen, because Pippen did not say, hey, I'll be your Robin. Pippen looked at Jordan and said, I ain't going to be Batman, so therefore I will be Robin. Don't act like y'all ain't never drove your homie somewhere, and he said, hey, man, can I stunt for a second? He's like, sure. You switch out, let him get into the driver's seat, get that number. Then you say, hey, pull around the corner, boy, get out of this. This is my car. That's how Giannis got to look at him. We ain't going to run with the narrative. You can shoot here and there. Get the number, but chill, this is my ride. Coming up, the Clippers survived to fight another day. Y'all ain't right. We'll tell you if we were more impressed with them or disappointed in the Sun as it set it in Phoenix next. Oh, get up, Chris. Oh, speak for yourself.
My dog Marcellus's Clippers fought off elimination last night behind a career playoff high from playoff P. That's Paul George. He gave you 41 points. Also had some help with a combined 45 points from Reggie Jackson and Marcus Morris Sr. Devin Booker even said, quote, they punched us in the face to start the game. Oh, everybody got a plan until they get punched in the face.
What does the hand say to the face?
From start, as you can tell, Marcellus has been feeling himself. CB back with us, but Sal, you up first to talk about your Clips. You impressed with the Clippers or disappointed in the Suns?
Impressed with the Clippers. I can't be disappointed in the Suns because they're the lesser team of the two, so therefore they are now starting to show their true colors. Think about it. 2 wins for the Clippers, double-digit wins. 2 wins for the Suns, not double-digit wins, and one of them was a valley-oop play. That's how they get theirs, the 50-50 games. We just smash them dudes when we play our style of ball. Oh, basketball guys, please, please, you know I pray to the real God, but also the basketball guys, please, please, let the better team win. Because I know in the Eastern Conference, you didn't listen to everybody's prayers. And now we stuck with Milwaukee versus Atlanta, which is not Brooklyn. At least in the West, where we do it the best. Can we please let the better team win? Because it's the Clippers. Let's be real about this. DeAndre Ayton, I've been calling you DeAndre Eaton because you've been eating. What happened to you? Were you full last night? Did you show up looking at our small lineup and think, oh, I got these little dudes? Because you didn't have these little dudes. Kind of a quiet game for you. 10 and 11? DeAndre Eaton? Okay. And Chris Paul, my dog. I hope we still dogs because I'm only talking about your performance. You know I love you. But damn, I tried to tell these people when you came back, that corona for real. Ask Cam Newton. All right. 19 of 60 since CP3 has come back. A 97 offensive rating for Chris Paul when he's on the floor with the Suns. A 112 rating when he's not. Y'all think I don't know what I'm talking about? What I'm talking about is everything with syrup on it ain't pancakes. And y'all thought that these Phoenix Suns were a little bit brighter than they are. But now, Ty Lue, down 1-3, doing what Ty Lue does in those situations, is now bringing our Clippers back. 1 game at a time, chopping wood. Trust me, when this is over, Clippers will be smiling.
I co-sign what you said. It's hard to watch that game last night and not say that you are impressed with the Clippers. Here's why. Ty Lue changed the starting lineup 4 times in the 5 games. He's just trying to figure out exactly what will work. Zubac gets announced as being out. I'm sure they knew. We did not find out until game time. MCL injury. Ty Lue starts Morris, ends up starting a much smaller lineup and says, you know what? We're not really worried about you, DeAndre Ayton, because you haven't been eaten. PG, he rebounds from going 5 for 20 to 15 for 20 in an elimination game. A lot of pressure on him, and he balled.
Yeah.
The only issue I will take with being disappointed in the Suns is truly with that man, DeAndre Ayton. You put up 18 points, 24 points, 19 points, 22 boards in the first 4 games. Different stat lines here and there. Then last night you put up 10 and 11, and their starting lineup, their big was Marcus Morris. Their starting lineup, their next biggest player, next tallest player was PG, and Ayton, you didn't eat. That's the one player who I look around and I'm like, nah, I needed more from you. You are the difference in what could have been the difference in that game. I needed more from DeAndre Ayton. I'm not disappointed in Booker. Chris Paul still trying to get his legs under him, only his 2nd game back from COVID. I'm not disappointed in the collection of the Suns, but if I had to pinpoint one guy, DeAndre Ayton.
I'm disappointed. Look, of course you guys, we all were impressed with the Clippers. But the Suns, you have a chance to close out a team on your home court, and you blow it. You blow it. I think the young boys, now Devin Booker obviously put up 30-plus points. He played well. DeAndre Ayton, y'all spelled it out. He didn't have his greatest game. I'm wondering, were they too young? This is their first postseason experience, right? Were they too young to drum up and muster up the sense of desperation to close out the Clippers on their own home floor? And then I'm looking at Chris Paul. Chris Paul's definitely not too young. Chris got to deliver. He's got to bring that game home for the Phoenix Suns. Look, we've all talked about how it's going to benefit Chris's legacy if they get to the finals or even win a championship. What's it going to do to his legacy if they lose this series? They were up 2-0 without Chris Paul. And they've lost 2 out of the next 3 games with him. We've seen Chris struggle in the clutch. I mean, he was with your Clippers, Marcellus. You remember, I think it was 2014, when he fell apart in Game 5. Russell Westbrook threw him off in the last 45. Drum up and muster up the sense of desperation to close out the Clippers on their own home floor. And then I'm looking at Chris Paul. Chris Paul's definitely not too young. Chris got to deliver. He's got to bring that game home for the Phoenix Suns. Look, we've all talked about how it's going to benefit Chris's legacy if they get to the finals or even win a championship. What's it going to do to his legacy if they lose this series? They were up 2-0 without Chris Paul. And they've lost 2 out of the next 3 games with him. We've seen Chris struggle in the clutch. I mean, he was with your Clippers, Marcellus. You remember, I think it was 2014, when he fell apart in Game 5. Russell Westbrook threw him off in the last 45 seconds. You remember 2015 when he missed the first 2 games? It's 1-1. Then they go up 3-1 against Houston and lose the series with Chris on the floor. You remember against Utah after a phenomenal Game 6. He lays an egg in Game 7 in the first round. Chris, as great as he is, he can't afford to lose this series. Yeah, he'll still be a Hall of Famer, all that. But people are going to look at him differently if they lose this series. And he had a chance to bring them home yesterday, and he didn't do it. I still got the Suns in 7, but they blew an opportunity.
Oh, man, you said all that fire and then you summed it up all weak like that. Phoenix in 7. They're getting spanked. It's rap. Look, Chris Paul was up 3-1. What'd you expect to happen? The other team is coming back. Hate to take these shots, but I got to do my job. And this ain't Doc Rivers. It's Ty Lue. 10-2 when facing elimination. Uh-oh. It's a different animal we're talking about. Let me do some extra credit, because I heard my boy Acho talk about he ain't mad at Devin Booker. He ain't mad at Eaton really and all that stuff. He ain't mad at nobody else. I'm disappointed in these Suns. 14 turnovers a Game 5 elimination game when you guys could have moved on. That's the most in this series. Okay. Jay Crowder has failed to score 10 or more points in the last 4 games. Uh-oh. Let's keep talking. Chris Paul shooting 32% from the field. Wiley numbers. 13% from the 3. Acho numbers. Come on. Devin Booker had 40 in his first game. After that, shooting 33% from the field, 29 from three, averaging only 22 points. They've lost 2 or 3 games, as Chris said, since Chris came back. It's a problem out there in Phoenix. Oh, it's in L.A. now. Figueroa fresh. Clippers in 7. Coming up, Ben Simmons is skipping the Olympics to work on his skills. We'll tell you if that's a good idea. Next, don't speak for yourself.
Cam Newton had a disappointing first season in New England, which drew a lot of criticism for the former MVP. His personal quarterback coach asked him how he deals with the haters. Cam said, quote, "Feed your focus, feed it. If the hate ain't in my focus, I don't feed it. I feed off of it. But I don't feed it. It's 2 different things. When I sense or when I dwell on the hatred, that's the product that's going to come out. Rage, anger. But that's the hatred using me, not me using the hatred. So I want to process that and make that fuel me."
You want to read it again, too? Wrong show, bro. Wrong show. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You not going to ask me a question?
Well, you're the one who came out and interrupted the whole thing, so I thought you were going to reread it.
All right, so Marcellus, yes. What are your thoughts on Cam Newton saying he feeds off his critics? Well, you know what, Marcellus? I'm surprised about what you're about to say. Look, man, the way he said it, I ain't gonna lie. I hate you. I know you do. I know you too. Man, that phrasing got me. The way he flipped that, the way he phrased it, like, I don't feed into it, but I don't feed off it, but I feed into it. What? Wait a minute. Let's pause right here. Because I just noticed what athletes, successful people, celebrities, entertainers, whatever, I noticed that there's this psychosis and the word hate always is around them somewhere hovering. We just saw Boogie Cousins. Man, I don't know why they hate on Paul George. Paul George saying, yeah, I take an unfair amount of criticism. Like, it's so weird. And then I came to realize why celebrities and those who are fluent always talk about people hating. Because it's a reminder of the reality that they don't live in. And it helps them sharpen their knife that is getting dull by this affluent experience. Let's talk about this. How Marvin Hagler said it and coined it way back in the days. It's tough to get out of bed to do road work at 5 a.m. when you've been sleeping in silk pajamas. So haters remind you of that road work. Hater reminds you that you got to go out there and do stuff because this existence will whisper, if not yell to you, you good. And that's the funny thing about all this. So I'm with you, Cam Newton. Like, you know what? I don't feed it. I feed off of it. Interesting. It's a reminder of the reality that you don't see on the daily. But I also got another layer that I'm interested in seeing where you're going to take you because I got counterpunch just in case you want to go to blows.
I got a little bit of an issue with Cam Newton saying it. Here's why. He said he feeds off of it and it fuels him. If you feed off something and it fuels you, that means it's a part of your diet. And clearly Cam Newton does not have a balanced diet because he's not performing at a high level. Wow. That's my problem with it. If Cam Newton was balancing his diet, you remember as a kid, you had the whole triangle diagram. You got to get your carbohydrates, you got to get your proteins, you got to get your sugars, but you got to get your good sugars, you got to get your healthy fats, all that stuff. Cam Newton's diet is clearly out of whack, Sal, because he feeds off of the hatred and it fuels him, but it only fueled him to 10 passing touchdowns.
I mean, 21?
I'm being honest.
Touchdowns?
So I just think, remember Cam Newton that was Super Cam? Remember when he had confidence-based motivation instead of doubt-based motivation? Because Cam Newton right now is feeding off of everybody else's doubt. But back in the gap, he was feeding off of his own confidence. As a result, that's my issue. He has to... I'm not going to tell him what to do. He's an MVP. I am not. But it may strengthen him. It may behoove him to go back to his confidence-based motivation instead of the doubt.
Yeah, man, but don't act like you ain't never balled out eating bad. Well, maybe not you, but I know I did. I climbed a mountain eating bad. Boy, it didn't matter. I had a bag of Cheetos and a 2-liter Hawaiian Punch in the Pro Bowl. Give a damn about y'all. And then I realized, I do need to take care of myself. Don't do that. And the four major food groups, remember that diagram and all that? That was a fraud back then. You better look at, you better dive into some of them hellholes on Instagram and YouTube. I did. Here's the thing. I just want to say this one thing, and I don't even know if it applies fully here, but it just reminded me of it. Something that Michael Corleone said, Wileyism right here. Discontent for money is just a trick of the rich to keep the poor without it. I'm telling y'all at home right now, all these rich people keep talking about why y'all hating. It's just a trick to tell y'all, oh, it ain't all Gucci up here. I know all these dudes. It ain't hitting like y'all think it's hitting. Them tweets ain't killing them. They live fluffy. It's just y'all remind them that y'all don't. Coming up, who is more valuable to the Bucks' success, Giannis or Chris Middleton? What? Is that a question? We'll answer that next on Speak for Yourself.
At Mark Valeriano was shook with the new Popeye sandwiches and more pack.
Oh my God.
With 4 chicken sandwiches, 4 tenders, and a large side for $25, there's something for everyone. Start earning points with Popeye's Rewards.
The Bucks can go up 3-1 against the Hawks tonight. And a big reason why is their two-headed monster of Giannis and Chris Middleton. Giannis is averaging just over 29 points in the playoffs, while Middleton is coming off a 38-point performance in Game 3. So, Acho, who's more valuable to the Bucks' success? Giannis, his full name, you're going to say it, or Chris Middleton? I know.
No, we talked about this before, and I think I know where you stand. Sometimes I'm prepared to fight, but I think this is just going to be a kumbaya moment. Giannis is more valuable. Giannis has a higher field goal percentage. Giannis scores more points. Giannis gets more rebounds. Giannis has more assists. Giannis does everything Chris Middleton does. He just does it better. So to me, it's a silly question. I can't wait to bring Stack back to really go to war on this matter, because I see him on Twitter calling us foolish because he is convinced that Middleton is the better player.
Convinced?
He's convinced. Without Giannis, there is no Middleton.
Thank you.
Because without Giannis, the game is not close enough for Middleton to even be able to strike or be in striking distance. Giannis is the only reason that the Bucks actually have a chance for Middleton to show up and be Chris Middleton. You know, I'll be listening to other analysts, and I think Nick Wright hit this nail on the head. He compares Giannis to Shaq. Now, a 96% version of Shaq, in the sense of Giannis and Shaq, both the only players in the last 40 years to average 30 points and 13 boards over a playoff series. Both struggle at the free throw line. The closer was not Shaq. The closer was not Giannis because of the whole hack of Shaq mantra. The closer was Kobe. The closer was Middleton. So I get it. Like Giannis, a 2-time MVP, although different in body type, their contributions to the game are actually eerily similar to their team. So I think Giannis, I know Giannis is a better player, and the only reason that we even have this debate is because Giannis concedes in the clutch moments, but it's really no debate at all.
No, it's not. Giannis makes the team good. Just period. Yeah, period. He fills the tub up. And then Middleton comes in with a bath toy here and there and makes the team look good, and good things happen in those moments after you already have filled it up with all of Giannis's greatness. You're right. Giannis is the one that is the engine of this team. The accessories, the things that you see at times that are sparkly, shiny objects become Chris Middleton because of his clutchness and just because he can shoot better than Giannis. So we respect that. But it's just weird how we always got to tear apart for credit. Which one? How do we slice this pie? Let me tell you, there are no ingredients that Chris Middleton has that Giannis doesn't have. He has some additives, some skills that Giannis doesn't possess. But Giannis going out there, as you said, 30 plus 13 is the reason why they're in this position every single year. But I hate saying that because it feels like a slight to Chris Middleton. But being a huge piece is not being the core centerpiece. That's all Giannis.
That's a real good point. Now, I also think that we like things that are different. Right, so Giannis gives the Bucks everything that they need, and then here comes Chris Middleton, which is kind of like the dessert. But here's what y'all know, because we all done gone to restaurants out to eat before, and we all look forward to the dessert, but we know this much. You get full off the dessert, 1, you probably can't. 2, you're going to be sick. So you got to get full off the main course. That is what Giannis is. Giannis is getting the boards. Giannis is playing defense. Giannis is scoring the points. Giannis is scoring the easy points. Chris Middleton is just a little cherry on top. Now, some people, you need that, but the fact of the matter is that in and of itself isn't enough. I'm glad that Giannis is as humble as he is, and also Chris Middleton is.
Facts. So they ain't got a beef.
They ain't got a beef, because the world is trying to make them beef, but I'm just glad that they figured it out, because we have as well.
Yeah, well, I think he's a little more than cherry on top, like kind of Marie Callender's. Have you ever go to Marie Callender's?
Whipped cream and the cherry?
Well, you eating at Marie Callender's, and you like, I'm waiting on this dessert. Like, a little more than that. Oh, remember them commercials, Filling Gems? Filling Gems, Filling Gems, Filling Gems, Filling Gems. Middleton. He ain't Giannis. Speaking of the Bucks, Game 5, I just aged myself. Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals is featured on the free-to-play Fox Bet Superstar app. Download the app and answer 6 questions about Thursday's game for your shot to win $1,000. And coming up, my Clippers live to see another day. Figueroa fresh, that's right. I'll tell you how I feel about their chances heading into Game 6. That's next on Speak.
Sal is a happy man right now because his Clippers did not get eliminated last night. PG had a career playoff high, 41 points, and the Suns now only up 3-2 in the series. But Game 6 tomorrow right here in L.A. Sal, how good you feeling right now about your Clippers headed into Game 6?
Cocky, something that I just can't help.
Yeah.
I'm so cocky right now. And you know what? It doesn't matter if I'm cocky because I don't play for the Clippers. I hate when people try to calm me down, put a cloud over me. Calm down one game at a time. No, we're the better team. We're finally showing it. We play with our lineups to the point where we understand what we're facing out there, and it's not enough. Clips in 7. Grown man. Gangsters.
So I respect this now. Like, y'all won the hardest game there was to win. Game 5 was going to be the hardest game to win. Game 6 is in L.A. Game 7 is a toss-up game. So you should feel good if you are the Clippers. Now, the question is, can you really win Game 6?
Really win?
We doubt them.
What? What do you mean really win?
So here's the thing. Are y'all going to blow them out the next 2 games? Because a toss-up game favors the Suns.
The 2 games we've won by a combined 28
Correct.
points.
So
they over there valley ooping to get a game.
Are you going to blow them out the next 2?
Yes. Whatever you're going to say, yes. It's Clips in 7, dog. We are better than them. The basketball gods already said, Brooklyn, you're the better team. You got to go home. They're not going to do it twice. God has a heart. All right, look out for us. That's Fox Bet Live next.